What's up guys, Gray here, welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. In today's video we are diving deep into the Void. I've got a Warlock build to share with you all today that is insanely strong, packed with crazy amounts of synergy, and most importantly, takes advantage of all of the huge buffs that Middle Tree Voidwalker got this season. Don't know what I'm talking about? Let's take a quick glance at all the changes that just happened to Middle Tree Void. We will start off by looking at Handheld Supernova, which got one of the largest buffs I think I've ever seen in Destiny 2 history. Handheld Supernova had its damage increased against PvE combatants by 100%. That is ridiculous. Literally doubled the damage of Handheld Supernova, and it's noticeable. They also increased the hold time for Handheld Supernova from 2.5 seconds to 3.2 seconds. On top of that, the super from Middle Tree Void Nova Warp saw some massive buffs as well. It now deals 73% additional damage against PvE combatants, another ridiculously big number. This super can actually compete now. It deals crazy damage against bosses and clears rooms full of majors and minors with ease. On top of this, you are no longer slowed down while being charging your Nova Warp attack, and they improved the responsiveness of this as well. These changes are fantastic in their own right, but I felt they were worthy of a full-on spec'd out build. I know Vex Mythoclast is all the rage right now, and for good reason, but maybe you want something a little different. You've come to the right place, and I don't think you will be disappointed. But before we dive into it guys, if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and hit that like button down below, as it greatly helps out the channel and helps more people find this video, and consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Thank you so much for your support, it certainly means a lot to me, and with that out of the way, let's get into it. So with Handheld Supernova getting such a massive buff, I wanted to find a way to get the absolute most out of it as often as possible. It's really strong now and is great for clearing packs of adds as well as dealing massive damage against champions and bosses. Let's take a quick look at the subclass itself to understand exactly what it brings to the table on its own. Now of course we have the Super Nova Warp, which we touched on a moment ago, but then we have our melee ability Atomic Breach, which causes a large void explosion whenever we use it. Doesn't sound like much, but it is very helpful, and we will see why in just a moment. Of course, we also have Handheld Supernova, which is the cornerstone of this build. This allows us to consume our grenade for a forward blast of void energy that deals massive damage. And finally, we have Dark Matter, where any void ability kill grants us health, melee, grenade, and class ability energy. Did you catch all that? Any one of our ability kills literally gives us everything back. Super, grenade, and melee kills will all snowball into each other and reduce our cooldowns. Keep that in mind, as it's always working for you. Now, the biggest issue we run into is the cooldown that can occur whenever you use Handheld Supernova, leaving you without much while you wait for it to come back up. This is technically your grenade, which is actually great because we can do a lot to improve this situation. Now this is going to go pretty in depth. There is an absolute insane amount of synergy going on here, so at any point if you want to rewind and listen again, please do so and use the timestamps to jump around to the information you are looking for. Quickly, I will add, the closer you are to 100 discipline, the better this will all work. Just a quick note. So starting off with our exotic armor of choice, we will be using Verity's Brow. I know a lot of people gravitate towards something like Controverse Hold when using Middle Tree Void, but after all my testing, Controverse still has a degree of randomness that just leads to inconsistency with getting our grenade back, and that issue is non-existent with Verity's, and that's not even the best part. Verity's Brow has the perk Death Throws, where weapon final blows that match your subclass element grants you stacks of Death Throws. It stacks up to 5 times. Whenever you use your grenade, each stack of Death Throws will be consumed, and you will gain a huge damage bonus to your grenade, as well as getting a huge chunk of grenade energy back. This begins to form the core loop of our gameplay. Obviously, we need to be using a void weapon with this to get anything out of it, but we will touch on that in a minute. So we are really getting 2 huge benefits out of Verity's Brow. With 5 stacks of Death Throws, we are doubling the damage of our already insane Handheld Supernova, and we are getting back nearly half of our grenade energy instantly every time we use it. Now let's get into the complicated part, mods and synergy. At the end of this segment, I will provide a full list of the mods you will need, so if you just want to slap them all on and run wild, you are free to do so, but if you'd like the full explanation, stick around. The goal I wanted to hit with this build was having 100% uptime on handheld Supernova. We will already gain 50% of our grenade back nearly every time we use it, thanks to Verity's Brow and Death Throws, so how can we get that extra 50% to just get it back completely each time we use it? Turns out, there are a ton of ways. This is going to involve two separate mod mechanics that you may or may not be familiar with, Charge with Light and Elemental Wells. We will be using both of these mechanics in synergy with each other with this build. The first mod we are going to look at is Elemental Ordnance. This is a neutral mod that can be equipped on any piece of armor. Elemental Well mods sort of have two parts to them. They typically allow you to do something to spawn an elemental well, and then when you pick up said well, you gain a perk or bonus. Elemental Ordnance reads, defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type. So every time we use handheld Supernova and defeat a target, we generate one void elemental well. Every elemental well also has some default functionality built in on top of their unique effects. Whenever we pick up an elemental well, we gain energy for whichever one of our abilities has the longest cooldown remaining. But if the elemental well matches the subclass we are on, i.e. a void well on a void subclass, we gain energy for all of our abilities. You see where this is going? Each time we kill a target with handheld Supernova, not only are we proccing Death Throws ×5 for double damage and 50% return on grenade energy, but now we also create a void elemental well. When we pick up that well, we gain another significant portion of our grenade back, roughly 20%. Just by using this one mod, we are adding another way of getting our grenade energy back by already doing what we are doing. So this is great, but we can do even more. The next mod on the list is pretty straightforward. This mod is Elemental Charge. This is another neutral elemental well mod, but it's quite simple. Whenever we pick up an elemental well, we gain a stack of Charged with Light. If the elemental well matches our subclass, again, void well on a void subclass, we will gain 2 stacks of Charged with Light. Pretty straightforward, so now how do we use these stacks? The next mod will be a classic to any grenade-centric build, Firepower. This is a solar element charged with light mod, and it's pretty simple in nature. Whenever we are charged with light, we will regain a portion of our grenade energy whenever we use our grenade. Simple, right? If we are charged with light, use your grenade, get grenade energy back. The beauty of this is that we will always be charged with light because we are always picking up elemental wells, forming a constant loop of grenade energy. Fourthly, this next mod is also a straight shooter, Elemental Armaments. This is a simple mod that makes it so anytime we get a kill with a weapon that matches our subclass, there's an escalating chance to create an elemental well. It's typically every 5 to 7 void weapon kills roughly will generate a elemental well. This is great to help get the ball rolling again during certain activities where combat might stop at weird times. Think about like the new 6-man activity. When it switches you to the next area, you might be like mid-rotation, and so you need to get things going again. Elemental Armaments fills that role perfectly. And now our final slot is a bit experimental, so let me explain. There is a mod coming this season that is not currently in the game yet. This mod is known as Bountiful Wells. Bountiful Wells makes it so that mods like Elemental Ordnance can stack. So if we have multiple copies equipped, we could then generate 2 void elemental wells from every grenade kill, giving us even more grenade energy back instantly every time. This would change the build a bit, and unfortunately I am unable to test it at this time, but it might make the build even stronger. In the meantime, what we will do instead is to simply run a second Firepower mod. These mods do stack by default, meaning we just get added benefit from having multiple copies. I need to test the difference between having 2 copies of Firepower versus the benefits of creating 2 elemental wells on each grenade kill and see which one works the best. That will definitely be a future video, so for now, just run the second Firepower mod. Now, before we do the full recap, we are going to talk about the weapons we are using, as this is pretty important, as well as a couple more mods to go along with them. There are 2 kinetic weapons that have been reissued this season that have a perk combo that no other guns in the game can get, and they make this build absolutely pop off. Don't fear if you don't have these yet, as there are other options I will cover, but you definitely want to get your hands on at least one of these as soon as you can. I am talking about the reprised Trials of the 9 weapons that just got added to the Prophecy dungeon. These weapons have some incredible PvP and PvE rolls, but like I said, 2 of them can roll with a combo we have not seen in the game before. These weapons are the Judgment Hand Cannon and the Last Breath Auto Rifle. Both of these kinetic weapons can roll with the insane combination of Demolitionist and Osmosis together. This is insane in its own right, but it is absolutely perfect for this build and is what led me to put it all together. Now, I don't have the Last Breath with this roll yet, and it is technically the better option this season with Anti-Barrier Auto Rifle being on the artifact, but I do have Judgment with it, and let's go over why this is so amazing. Whenever we use Handheld Supernova, this counts as using our grenade, and in turn, that procs Osmosis on our weapon, turning our kinetic weapon into a void elemental weapon. By using that weapon, we are generating death throws for Verity's Brow, which we need for the added damage and regen for Handheld Supernova. As if that wasn't enough, we then also have Demolitionist to pair with it, making it so each and every kill with the weapon is also just giving us raw grenade energy. It is the perfect setup and such a powerful combo, and I don't think anyone has really realized this yet. You can farm these in Prophecy, so get after them. But like I said, there are still plenty of kinetic weapons that can roll with either Demolitionist or Osmosis, just not together. After doing some testing, I would highly recommend you go after something with Demolitionist over just Osmosis. There are weapons like the Whispering Slab Bow, which is great for Overload this season, and Tiger Spite, which is great for Anti-Barrier this season, that can both roll with Demolitionist in the kinetic slot. Those would be great alternatives if you don't have those Trials of the 9 weapons quite yet. For the rest of our loadout, we wouldn't be paying much attention if we didn't touch on the insane fusion rifle buffs and mods we have this season, now would we? Starting off, we are going to want the artifact mod Particle Deconstruction. This makes it so anytime we damage an enemy with a fusion rifle, they take increased damage from fusion rifles for a short time. This stacks up to 5 times, and using this we can get massive single target damage for things like bosses using the right combo. To pair with our Void subclass theme and synergy, we are of course using Null Composure. This is the ritual fusion that can be obtained by simply doing the quest for it, and it's very strong. We are using Feeding Frenzy and Reservoir Burst on this, and while it does allow us to apply a full 5 stacks of Particle Deconstruction with ease for big damage, it also plays into all the other aspects of our build by being a void weapon. To round out our trio of weapons, finally in our heavy slot, we are using Sleeper Simulant. This weapon has been buffed and buffed again, and this season truly gets a chance to shine. I know Vex Mythoclast is all the rage, but Sleeper can do amazing damage as well, especially when paired with Particle Deconstruction. We would want to apply the 5 stacks by using Null Composure, and then swap over to Sleeper for huge single target damage from range. It's the perfect way to flush out the build. Whew! I told you this was going to be a lot. Let's get the full list of mods up on the screen here. You are going to need the following mods. 1 Elemental Ordnance, 1 Elemental Armaments, 1 Elemental Charge, 2 Firepower, remember we can swap for Bountiful Wells later, potentially, 1 Particle Deconstruction, and all of this will be used in conjunction with Verity's Brow, Null Composure, Sleeper Simulant, and a kinetic weapon with Demolitionist. Judgment and Last Breath being top tier options for their Osmosis combo as well. And there we have it, Guardians, the most ridiculous, fun, new, powerful void build I could possibly come up with for this season. I really hope you enjoy using it, and I really hope you made it this far into the video. If you did, please leave a like below for me and subscribe to the channel. I love doing builds like this, and if you love using them, you'll be happy to know there's more where this came from. Let me know your thoughts down below, and let's talk about what future builds and ideas you would like to see from me in the future. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you next time.